Well, stand by for a huge, shocking announcement. Quick look surprised. U.S. auto sales plunge dramatically as the consumer debt bubble continues to collapse, says Michael Schneider at theeconomiccollapseblog.com. Down, down, baby. What's that store? Bye, bye, baby? No. J-Step4 is opening a new retail outlet called Down, Down, Baby. Actually, not on your life would I open a retail store right during the, retail apocalypse and the auto sales apocalypse that's also happening. U.S. auto sales plunge dramatically as the consumer debt bubble continues to collapse. One sector of the economy, which, by the way, just my last video, Fed, the economy faltered just a little bit, but we don't think it's a trend. We're looking at June as a rate hike. It's not, economy should be okay. Car sales are massive. If you want to look at, the economy, you could look at car sales alone and make a pretty educated guess as to where the economy's headed. I mean, couldn't you? It's the second most expensive thing people buy in their lives, second to the house. So anyways, one sector of the economy that is acting as if we were already in the middle of a horrible recession, it's because we are, is the auto industry. We just got sales figures for the month of April, and every single major U.S. auto manufacturer missed. Did you catch that? Every single major U.S. auto manufacturer missed their sales projections. And I don't know if it's in this article or not. It might be. Tesla, their Generation 3 model or whatever, is already baked in the cake. $13,000 or $14,000 per car loss. It's baked in the cake. We got a new model coming out, and just like the last model and the previous model before that, we haven't made money yet. But Tesla, awesome car, man. Sports, 300 miles on a charge, and some of the newer models, they've got the $35,000 starting Tesla model coming out next year. Get your order now. Place your order now. It's coming. On a company that keeps losing, that's scary. You imagine being stuck with the car and then all of a sudden the company's gone? If they couldn't make money, was someone else going to buy it up and all of a sudden change some stuff around and make money? I don't think so. But that's kind of another story, yet amazing, because a Tesla is a pretty expensive vehicle these days. And the new one's got a massive loss baked into the cake. Incredible. When you add this latest news to all of the other signals that the U.S. economy is slowing down substantially, a very disturbing picture begins to emerge. Either the U.S. economy is steamrolling toward a major slowdown, or this is one hell of a head fake. One analyst that has been waiting for auto sales to start declining is Graham Summers. According to Summers, the boom in auto sales that we witnessed in previous years was largely fueled by subprime lending. And now that subprime auto loan bubble is starting to burst. Again, for anyone that doesn't know what a subprime anything is, subprime housing, subprime auto loans, it means a person with substandard acceptable credit scores. In other words, you have no business getting credit to buy this car or buy anything, yet being able to get it on credit. That's a subprime borrower, okay? Just in case you didn't know. Auto loan generation has gone absolutely vertical since 2009, rising an incredible 56% in 7 years. Even more incredibly, roughly one-third of this $450 billion in new loans are subprime, aka garbage. 1 out of 3 are junk loans. They know they won't be paid back. Horrible. In the simplest of terms, this is subprime 2.0, the tip of the 199 trillion debt iceberg, just as subprime mortgages were for the housing bubble. I've been watching this industry for months now, waiting for that signal that it's ready, or waiting for the signal that it's ready to explode. And that signal, he says, just hit. The signal that Summers is referring to is a persistent decline in U.S. auto sales. It would be easy to dismiss one bad month, but U.S. auto sales have been falling for a number of months now, and the sales figures for April were absolutely dismal. Just check out how much sales declined in April compared to 1 year ago for the biggest auto manufacturers. General Motors down 5.8%, Ford 7.1%, Fiat, Chrysler 7%, Toyota 4.4%, Honda, even a Honda? Jane Fonda ain't got a motor in the back of her Honda, 7% Honda. For auto manufacturers, those are truly frightening numbers, and nobody is really projecting that they will get better anytime soon. I'm going to stop for a second and give anybody that is a subscriber of mine, maybe, if you don't know this yet, the best advice of your life. Get the hell out of that industry now if you are relying on it for a paycheck. With an exception. If you work for one of these dealerships, maybe I shouldn't use the word dealership because that usually implies one of the big car companies. You work for an auto sales company and they sell used vehicles. Or like the place I just got my Nissan Leaf from, Tampa Hybrids. It is a niche platform that they're working on there. They only go after hybrids in electric vehicles. They get them from the off-lease auctions, or maybe they have a connection with some of the companies so they don't even have to run them through the auction and waste the money getting the fees and this fee and that fee. Who knows? But they get a good deal, and they simply add, here's what we need for profit, and that's what we're going to sell it for. I got a $30,000 car, just 2 years old. It was then for $10,000 with 14.6 thousand miles. Okay, 14.6 thousand miles. That is the auto apocalypse. But they're making money. Life is good over there. So the used car market, although prices are going to definitely come down with this, it's baked into the cake, especially with these tons of leases coming out. Because that's another thing that happened. They made these leases, all these car companies, the big ones, get in a car for, I click on these sites like I'm on now, and there'll be a little ad, lease a brand new such and such for $169 a month. Who the hell can buy a car, get a car payment of a brand new car, any car, pick one, for $169 a month? But if you lease it, we got it for you. Give us a little down payment. You got to do that, 3 years, yada, yada, yada. So that was their way of, we got to push some of these cars out. We're not selling them as much as we like, so we're going to make sweetheart deals on leases. So all these leases, massive amounts, are coming flooding back now into the market, which is why I got a sweetheart deal. So if your company starts to focus on that, you will survive. You will survive. So where was I? For auto manufacturers, that those are truly frightening numbers, and nobody is really projecting that they will get better anytime soon. At the same time, unsold vehicles continue to pile up on dealer lots at a staggering pace. Meanwhile, inventory days are still trending higher as OEMs continue to push product onto dealer lots, even though sale through to end customers has seemingly stalled. GM, one of the few OEMs to actually disclose dealer inventories in monthly sales releases, reported that April inventories increased to 100 days now, which is 935,758 vehicles, from 98 days at the end of March and just 71 days in April 2016. So April of 2016, new vehicles from the manufacturer, GM, are sitting on the dealership's lots waiting to be sold, and they took, on average, 71 days to sell. So you fast forward to this year, same time frame, it's now taking 100 days to sell the cars. Again, when it comes to math, you can't argue with it. It can't lie. The number is what the number is. So why is this happening? Of course, there are a lot of factors, but one of the main reasons for this crisis is the fact that U.S. consumers are already drowning in debt and are simply tapped out. Now, a new survey from Northwestern Mutual helps to shed some light on why Americans are completely incapable of saving money. First, roughly 50% of Americans have debt balances, excluding mortgages, mind you. So take the mortgage out, which is the biggest debt you'll ever have. We're not even including that. And when we don't include that, 50% of Americans have other debt, credit card, loans, whatever. So 50% of Americans have debt balances, excluding mortgages, mind you, of over $25,000, with the average person owing over $37,000 versus a median personal income of just over $30,000. Again, this is government, United States on steroids. That's the on steroids, but we're a mini mirror of that. United States, we have way more debt than we can ever pay back. It's way more than our GDP we do every year. So what are we doing? In this example, consumer earns $30,000 a year, yet has $37,000 of debt that keeps getting more. 37 will turn to 38,000, will turn to 39, will turn to 40,000. And yet his paycheck will barely, if he's even lucky in the first place, barely creep upwards. Therefore, it's not difficult to believe, as Northwestern Mutual points out, that 45% of Americans spend up to half of their monthly take-home pay on debt service alone, which again excludes mortgage debt. You imagine if you had to add that in there? Ooh. When you are already up to your eyeballs in debt, it is hard just to make payments on that debt. So for many American families, a new car is simply out of the question. And it isn't just the auto industry that's in trouble. The credit card industry is also starting to show signs of distress. Synchrony Financial, GE's spinoff that issues credit cards for Walmart and Amazon, disclosed on Friday that despite assurances to the contrary just 3 months ago, net charge-offs would rise to at least 5% this year. Its shares plunged 16% and are now down 27% year-to-date 2017. Credit card specialist Capital One, again, hey, Jason Ford's got one of those. Capital One disclosed in its quarter one earnings report that last week the provisions for credit losses rose to $2 billion, with net charge-off jumping 28% just year over year to $1.5 billion. Charge-offs, this guy ain't paying, charge it off, jumped 28% just from last year. But the Federal Reserve thinks that we're going to keep raising rates in June and the economy's still chugging along. It looks pretty decent. I'm really starting to wonder, because I was on the page of they have to raise rates. That's how the cycle goes. They hold them down, then they go up. And that is the cycle. But I don't know that we're going to get a meaningful rate hike at all until the system crashes down. And then they can actually raise the rates. So this whole crap the Federal Reserve is doing now, I think they may not be able to raise rates. Maybe they'll do one more, little 25, basis points, which is 0.25%. Maybe we're gonna have to wait and see until June. But speaking of this, servicing debt, as I said in my other video, if they raise rates every time they do, we have to service more debt because the interest rate goes up. So now we got to pay back all the people that are holding our treasury bonds. Nothing changed other than the Federal Reserve raising rates. And now we owe more, but we got to pass a budget, and they want more military spending, and they want all this. Then you add in the debt servicing as the interest rates rise. This is insanity. Oh, breaking news, markets rally. Jason Ford calls markets insanity, markets rally. Markets rally in response. So if you didn't understand that, what essentially is being said is that credit card companies are starting to have to set aside more money for bad credit card debts. Previously, I reported that consumer bankruptcies and commercial bankruptcies are both rising at the fastest rate that we have seen since the last recession. This trend is starting to spook lenders, and so many of them are starting to pull back on various forms of lending. For example, Bloomberg reported that lending by regional U.S. banks was down significantly during the first quarter of 2017. This is how a credit crunch begins. When the flow of credit starts restricting, that slows down economic activity, and in turn, that usually results in even more credit defaults. Of course, that just causes lending to get even tighter, and pretty soon you have a spiral that is hard to stop. Just about everywhere you look, there are early warning signs of a new economic downturn. And just like we saw prior to the great crash of '08, those that are wise are getting prepared for what is coming ahead of time. Unfortunately, most people usually end up getting blindsided by economic downturns because they believe the mainstream media when they insist that everything is going to be just fine. Thankfully, there are at least a few people that are telling the truth, and one of them is Mark Faber. Just a few days ago, and I've heard this guy talk a lot, he was on CNBC and he said the economy is, quote, terminally ill. Again, what does terminally ill mean? It means you are dead. You are going to die. It's over. Maybe not right now, but coming soon. That's what terminally ill means. And he used that to describe the economy. Dr. Doom, Mark Faber, says the U.S. economy is terminally ill, and the current outlook doesn't seem to be improving. The U.S. has run a deficit for so long, he said Tuesday on CNBC's Futures Now. The conditions today are more fragile than they were ever before. And unless somebody comes and introduces minus 5% interest rates, I think the economy is really not in such a great shape. I'm actually amazed that people are so optimistic. The editor and publisher of the Gloom, Boom, and Doom report added. And I have to agree with Mark Faber on this point. We are more primed for a major economic downturn and a horrifying stock market crash than we were back in 2008. It isn't going to take much to push us over the edge, and with our world becoming more unstable with each passing month, it appears that our day of reckoning is likely to come sooner rather than later. And again, when they're ready for that trigger to be pulled, they take you to war. They take us to war. And by chance, Korea is out of control right now. Now China's warning Korea, like, we're going to have to get involved. And now Korea's warning China, we'll attack you too. Now if you whoa. And I'm just waiting. I am waiting to hear the news. Breaking news. Korea just fired at and or sunk an aircraft carrier. I'm waiting for it. That'll be the trigger for the markets to fall apart. And they'll blame it on the incident. Some war incident, but I think that one, boy, that one's got, that's the cake with a cake on top of the cake with a cherry on top of that cake with a bunch of sparkling little candles. As far as the elite's concerned, that would be a great move for them. Blame it on the markets falling, blame it on that. You can't be mad. The guy's a whack job. The guy's nutty. It was his fault your 401k got destroyed. It's his fault your pension got destroyed, not ours, not the bankers. We solved the problem. The Federal Reserve's going to come out and say, we solved it. Look, yeah, it wasn't a great recovery, but it was a recovery. And then Lil Kim had to come in and mess things up. But are the people going to buy it? Are they going to believe in it this time? They might. Consumer confidence is way up right now, and I'm here doing these videos every day saying, how is that even possible? Or is the data they're sharing with us that says consumer confidence is up rigged? Again, just to change perception of people. Lie to them like we lie to them about the polls. Polls showed such and such, 49% Republicans and 51% Democrats said they would, but you oversampled massively the Democrats. So what are you doing? What are you even publishing that for? Shh, don't tell anybody that. That's our secret to keep, our story going in their minds. Right, again, it's all about confidence. Once confidence goes, it's over. Take care.